If you want to use messaging inside of your .NET applications, you need to understand a couple of important patterns, such as competing consumers and how you can deliver the same message to multiple consumers when publishing to a queue. Now in this video, I'll show you how you can solve this using RabbitMQ and the official RabbitMQ.NET client. Let's start with the competing consumers pattern. I have two applications here, a producer and a consumer application, and both are using the RabbitMQ client library. Now at the start of my producer, I'm declaring my queue that I want to use for publishing messages, and then I go ahead and publish 10 messages to this queue by specifying the messages as the routing key. And notice here that I'm specifying string empty as the exchange name, which is going to use the default exchange, and it's just going to route my message to the queue that I declared above. In the consumer, I'm doing basically the same, declaring a queue in case the producer application didn't yet run. So I want to make sure that the queue exists. And then I'm just defining an async eventing consumer. And here I can provide a delegate to consume a message that I get back from the queue. Finally, I can kick off the consumer by saying channel basic consume async. Now, what are competing consumers? Well, I think the best way to understand this is to show you an example. So what I'm going to do is start two consumer applications, and note that I already have RabbitMQ running behind the scenes inside of Docker. And if you want to run RabbitMQ yourself, you can use this command. You can say docker run, give your container instance a name, expose the default ports so that you can access them locally, and then specify the image that you want to use. In this case, I'm going to use RabbitMQ Management. Now, how do you start two consumer instances? Well, you can easily do this from Visual Studio. I'm going to say debug and then start without debugging. And this is going to spin up one instance of the consumer. You'll get the default message that it's waiting for messages to come from the queue. Now I can also go ahead and do that again by specifying debug and start without debugging. Now I have two consumer applications running. And the only thing that's left to do is to now start my producer, which I'm going to do. And here are my free application instances. Now I configure the producer to pause for 10 seconds before starting to publish the messages. And notice what's going on here. My producer is publishing to the messages queue and is going to publish 10 messages in total. And here I have my two consumer applications, and note that they aren't all receiving the 10 messages. Instead, RabbitMQ is going to do a round robin when delivering the messages to these consumers, and they are each going to get 5 messages. And this is what's called the competing consumers pattern. Our two consumers are fighting for the messages from the same queue. Now this can be very useful if you want to spread out the workload of consuming the messages to multiple consumers. This is basically how you can scale the consume side inside of the messaging system, just add more consumers. Now where the problem comes out is when you actually want the opposite. You want both of your consumers to receive all of the messages. So how can you do this? So I'm going to show you. Let me close this down. To be able to demonstrate this, I'll need another consumer application. So I'm going to add a new project into my solution. I'll use the worker service template, and I'm going to call this the RabbitMQ Consumer 2. Let's go ahead and create this project, and I'm going to quickly set it up with the same NuGet packages as my other two projects. And I want to have the same body inside of the program file as my existing consumer. So I'll delete the worker, and inside of the program file, I'm just going to paste what I already had in my existing consumer. So how can we now deliver all of the messages to both of our consumers? If we were to start the application right now, we would still run into the competing consumer problem because they are listening to the same queue. So you might think, okay, I'll just introduce another queue. So let's see if that works. I'll go back to the producer, and for example, I can declare another queue, let's say messages 2. And to make it more explicit, let's rename the original one to messages 1. So now we have two queues. Now, in order to be able to publish to these queues, I need to update the routing key. So I can go ahead and make the update here, and I can also publish the same message to my second queue. Now, inside of my consumer applications, I just need to listen to the respective queue. So in this case, I want to consume from the messages 1 queue, and in my new consumer, I want to be consuming from my messages 2 queue. So let's go ahead and make the appropriate updates. And now I'm just going to configure my startup to run all of my applications. So I'll say configure startup projects, and let's configure all of them to start without debugging. Now, just to be able to differentiate between them, I'm going to add a small console write line at the start of my consumer to say that this is consumer 2. And let's just make a copy in our other applications. This is going to be our producer. And finally, we have the first consumer. Let's call it consumer 1. Now, I set all 3 of them to be the startup projects. So I'm going to kick them off. And you can see our producer running right here. Here's the second consumer, and then the first consumer. And all of them are waiting for messages. So after a couple of seconds, the producer is going to start publishing to our 2 queues. And you can now see that we are getting the same messages in both of the consumers. So the solution is to just use multiple queues. Now, there's a big problem here. This really won't scale on the producer side. Let's say you want to introduce another consumer. That means you would have to declare another queue and start publishing to that queue as well. And you can see how this becomes problematic, which is why RabbitMQ introduces the concept of an exchange. Now, let me give you a bit of theory. RabbitMQ has the concept of exchanges, which is another topology element that you can use to route your messages to a specific queue or a stream. There are different types of exchanges, and I'm going to cover the most important ones. So the first one is the Fanout exchange, where you have your producer now publishing messages to the exchange instead of a queue, as was the case in our initial example. So what happens here is you declare multiple queues and you bind them to the specific exchange. And when you publish a message to the exchange, that is a Fanout exchange, is just going to route a copy of the message to all of the queues that are bound to this exchange. So you can see this is very simple. There's also the direct exchange type, where the producer specifies a routing key and the queue that is being bound to an exchange has to define the so-called binding key. So when we publish a message to a direct exchange with a specific routing key, the message will only be routed to the queues that contain the correct binding key. So in this case, if the routing key is error, we're going to send the message to queue 1. And if the routing key is info, we're going to send a message to queue 2 and then any respective consumers. And finally, there is a topic exchange, and this is somewhat similar to the direct exchange, except you specify the routing key with multiple words that are delimited by a dot symbol. Now, what makes this interesting is that you can define your binding keys using wildcard characters. The star in the binding key in this example is a substitute for exactly one word, and you can also use a hash symbol, which can be a substitute for 0 or more words. So in this example, we have a message that uses a routing key of app failure critical, and this matches the binding key inside of Q1, where the binding key value is app and then star and then critical. So the star here is going to replace failure in the routing key. In the second example, we have a routing key of app error warning, and this matches the binding key of our second queue, where the binding key is app error and then star, which is going to match the warning value in the routing key. So this is a quick overview of the most important exchange types that we have in RabbitMQ. There are a couple more of them, and they're pretty niche, so I didn't want to cover them in this video. Now I'm going to leave a link to the documentation in the description of this video. And now let's go back to our code and see how we can use exchanges to improve our implementation. So let's go back to our producer, and instead of declaring 2 queues and then publishing to both of the queues, I'm going to declare an exchange. So I can say exchange declare async. So I have to update a couple parameters. Obviously, I'm defining an exchange. I'm going to set durable to true, auto delete to false, and then I have to specify the exchange type. There's a constant that you can use that contains the possible types of exchanges. So there's direct, fanout, headers, and topic. Headers is very similar to topic exchanges, except you specify the routing key in the header. Now I want to use a fanout exchange, which is going to route the same message to any queues that are bound to it. I'm going to remove the second queue declaration, and I also want to get rid of publishing to the second queue. Now I do want to publish my message, except I'm going to specify string empty as the routing key, and then I'm going to specify my exchange name, which is messages. And this is all I need to do on the producer side. Now the beauty of this is that I can introduce any number of consumers that I want by just defining an additional queue and binding this queue to the specific exchange. So I'm going to copy the exchange declaration and define it inside of my 2 consumers. So let's start from the second consumer, I'm declaring the same exchange, and note that this is an idempotent operation. I'm also declaring my queue, as was the case before, and I also need to bind my queue by calling the queue bind async method. You can also bind exchanges to other exchanges, but this is a more complex example. So let's say I want to bind the messages to queue to our messages exchange, and the routing key is going to be string empty, and it's in fact going to be ignored because we are using the Fanout exchange type. Now when it comes to consuming messages, everything else remains the same. I'm still listening to any messages coming to the messages to queue. What changes is how we are publishing them. Now let's go to our first queue. I'm going to copy this, make sure this is messages 1, and make sure I'm binding the messages 1 queue to the messages exchange. And now let's start the application again, and you can see my two consumers are now running, and then there is the producer application. And after the producer starts publishing messages, I should start receiving them in both of my consumers. So you can see we have the same behavior as before, only now we are using a Fanout exchange to route the messages, or a copy of the message, to both of the queues where our consumer applications are listening to. Now let's also check out the RabbitMQ Management UI. If I jump into Exchanges, you can see we now have a new exchange, the Messages exchange, which is the one that we defined. And if I go inside, you can see the bindings for this exchange. We have two bindings to the messages 1 queue and the messages 2 queue. And we configure this from our two consumer applications. So the messages 1 queue has one listener, and then the messages 2 queue has another listener represented by our two consumer applications. So this is how you can introduce a more complex broker topology, and this will allow you to implement more advanced messaging scenarios. Let me know in the comments if I should do more videos about distributed messaging. Now, if this one was a bit more advanced for you, I recommend watching this video next for an introduction to messaging with RabbitMQ. Now check out my courses if you want to see how to implement messaging in a production scenario. Make sure to smash the like button on your way out, and until next time, stay awesome.